Man, you've got a million agents you can choose from, but the question is there value in using a local realtor? Today we're going to tell you.
You better get fired up.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook. If you got any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to put them down in the comments, and we'll absolutely respond to you before the end of this video. Lissette, how the heck you doing this amazing Monday? What is it? Is it still morning? It's still morning.
Pretty much. It's chilly, but it's a beautiful morning.
It's cold out there. I'll tell you, I'm from Minnesota. So for me, it's a little comical watching people talking about the iguanas falling out of the trees, wearing their winter coats that they just bought last week. But a little bit of me, trust me, it's little, misses this weather. But I think a day or two will probably get me over that. So talk to me a little bit about your feelings and maybe some of the experiences you've had with people working with local agents versus non-local agents and how that's helped or hurt them.
I always think it's really beneficial to find someone that's in the market that understands the market that you're looking for. And that's why I think it's really important to find someone local, whether you're listing a property or you're a buyer. I think when it comes to listing your property, you have someone that is accessible to you, understands your area, and even better, maybe your community, understands the floor plan, and understands also the marketing strategies that specific area is more appealing for buyers. Where do you reach the buyers at? Is it from up north, down south? Are they local buyers in that area? So having your local expert is very beneficial for both sellers and buyers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And I can even give examples. I mean, right now I'm working with a couple and they're looking in a very specific part of PGA. And there's some questions I have I don't know the answers to. I looked at the HOA board. I know 2 people on that board. It's going to be so nice being able to call those guys, already have a relationship, already get the inside information. We've got the relationship where it's going to be smooth, fast. There's trust built already. I'm not going to have that if I go down to Miami or I go up to Jacksonville. I'm going to be just like every other new agent when it comes to the relationships and the expertise on that particular market. So I think you're spot on there. Is there anything else that might help you either as a buyer's agent or a seller's agent that buyer or seller would want to know about because it helps add value to their transaction?
Many times, specifically when we're working with buyers from down south, and I have an agent that is from Miami, West Palm, they rely on me, the local expert, the listing agent, to provide all those answers. So on the buyer side, sometimes, if you have a friend that's down in the area you live, but you're looking at another area, ask for a referral. You're still taking care of your friend, the agent, but you could get an agent in that area that can answer you what offer, where should you come in according to pricing. If you have any issues along the transaction, what are the local vendors that they know that could solve these problems? What are some of the negotiating factors that most sellers do in this area? There's so many different issues in different areas in the community. Sometimes how is there water, is there sewer? Just, there's so many questions that are so specific to a market that someone local can answer. Maybe someone from far away just doesn't know, and we'll have to reach out to another agent anyways to find those resources.
Yeah, I literally just did a Zoom call right before this video with a couple, and they're in Miami and they want to sell their house up here. And I was able to quickly just tell them by a map with my experience in the market, hey, this is tradition. This is much different than Torino, which is much different than PGA, which is much different than the heart of the city, right? And I can talk about those neighborhoods and the value differences and what is a home on a canal? What's the added value difference? What is a home on a corner lot? What's a home that's right on the turnpike? What's that going to do to detract from value? I know these numbers like this, and I can look them up very quickly because I do it all day, every day. Whereas if I were to sell their home in Miami, I would be just as good as any other brand new agent in that area at looking up that data. All I've got is data. I don't have any insight, any knowledge, any experience, any hands-on with those neighborhoods. So you're going to get a much more accurate price from somebody who knows that market than you are from somebody coming out. So saying that you would recommend that to someone else and take a referral on it, I think is absolutely the right answer, the best answer for that client. And the same is true with buyers, right? With buyers, just knowing that market, you're going to be able to tell them, I'm a great example. When I got here a few years ago, man, Dean DeVries, my good buddy Dean, he brought me around. He said, listen, I'm going to show you 3 houses. You're going to get the third one. And I know you're going to get the third one because I know your family. I know you've got kids. I know your mindset. But I want to show you 2 just to show you 2. So we looked. I liked the first one. We looked. I liked the second one. Then on the third one, I didn't even walk in the house yet. I'd seen Bedford Park. I saw the lake. I saw the restaurants, the ice cream shop, the spas, Tradition Square, all that. And I was like, I don't even care what the inside looks like. I love it, right? Because he knew me. I can't do that as a buyer's agent if I go down to Miami and show a house right now. I have no idea what I'm walking in on. So for all those reasons, and I think, you know, you came up with this topic, and I think it's such a great topic, but really you think back as a realtor on all of the transactions you've done with other agents who are out of the area, right? Talk a little bit, both as a buyer's agent dealing with an out of, let's say, Port St. Lucie, a non-Port St. Lucie agent who's listing a Port St. Lucie house. And then talk to me a little bit about being a Port St. Lucie listing agent who's dealing with a buyer's agent who does not know Port St. Lucie at all. What are some of those challenges you've faced and thus your buyers or sellers have faced?
So on the buyer's end, I've done transactions as far south as Miami. I've done them in Broward. And you know what? The most important thing is reaching out to that listing agent and asking all the important questions. They're going to know that market. So for example, if we're looking at condos, there's agents that specialize in specific areas, specific communities, and they know, is even an FHA loan going to be approved? Because is there money in reserves that affects lending? Sort of questions regarding the community. Do you have to have a certain percentage down to get into that community? Again, with condos and financing. So they're going to really have those answers for that. So as much as groundwork and research you could do on the buyer side to make sure you got your prepped, or that you have that point of contact that can answer those questions for you, is essential. And on the listing side, as me, I try to be as resourceful as I can for agents. I've even gone and show properties when I know their agent can't make it here last minute. At the end of the day, I'm helping my seller out too,
Yep.
and I'm helping out the buyer's agent. So I'm okay with that. But yeah, they have issues sometimes that they can't make it. And in a market that we were 7-8 months ago, it was really important to be accessible and be there to show these properties to your buyers. So if you're out of town, that makes it a lot more difficult.
Yes. And I'll give you a couple examples too from my experience as a listing agent. I love it when I see that I've got a Miami or a Fort Lauderdale buyer's agent showing one of my houses that even maybe I think is a little overpriced. And they look at it and they're like, this is a smoking deal. And they talk their buyer into coming in full price, maybe even over full price. And I know, but I represent the seller, man, you're 10, 20, 30 grand over what this house should be selling for. And it does not help that buyer. Like working with that agent who does not know that market and comes from a market that's more expensive and they feel like it's a deal is costing you tens of thousands of dollars, right? Now, as a listing agent, I'll take it. But as a buyer, holy smokes, I would not be happy with that, right? As a buyer's agent, when I'm looking at 3, 4, 5 houses with my buyer, and I'm calling all of them because I've got a buyer who's got a very particular set of concerns. Maybe their concerns, I got one right now, is they want to know, is it on septic or is it on sewer? Is it private or is it city? He's very concerned about it. And some of these septic systems aren't just run by the city, they're run by the community. I'm talking about PGA specifically here. So there's a lot of questions I would need to ask that listing agent as to, like, tell me a little bit about, do they plan on instituting one of these in that area? How long is it going to be? How much does it generally cost? And if they don't know those answers and I'm busy or I'm lazy or my people want to make a decision now and I can't get answers for them that quickly on that property, the odds that they veer to another property because I can't get questions answered goes up. And now your odds of a listing agent of getting more offers, getting multiple offers goes down, right? So it's hurting your seller. So I think, and I would say this too to anybody who's looking at me who is not in Martin County or St. Lucie County, I'm going to tell you, I'd love to work with you. I will work with you, but I highly recommend that you work with someone in that area. We can find you a great agent. Lissette, I think you'd say the same thing. Am I correct?
Definitely. And also think about this long term also. If you're a buyer buying a certain community, don't you want someone that knows the market
Yeah.
and know what businesses are also coming into that?
Yep.
Is there anything that's in the project, that's the plans to maybe not be the ideal environment that you want to
Mm.
be in, or maybe can enhance it and you feel maybe I can get in now and get a deal. My property value is going to grow because of this project. So that's good also to know.
Yeah. And that leads into two last things I'll bring up, and then I'll turn it over to you. I get a lot of phone calls after closing. Joe, I don't like my flooring. I want new flooring. Well, if you call me in Miami and say that, I'm going to say, I can Google it for you. But here, I know multiple reputable, affordable flooring people who can help you. I know landscapers. I know pool people. I know roofers. I know window people. I've got great relationships with these people. I can tell you who I trust, who's the cheap guy, who's the expensive guy. I can tell you all that, right? I can't tell you that in another market. And you're going to have those questions. And just like you said, man, how many phone calls do you get from, say, couples with kids? And they call you the next weekend after closing and they say, we're looking for something fun to do with our kids. What do we do? And you can rattle off the top 5 things to do in the area. But if you're out of that market, you're going to say, I can Google it for you, but that's about as far as I can go. I view me as a realtor as your resource for the rest of your life. I mean, I've been paid, man. So I'm here for you. You've already hired me and I'm paid for. I'm the answerer of all of your questions. How can I help you? And if you've got someone who's out of that market, you kind of lose that. Is there anything else you'd add to this, Lissette?
Just also thinking back to communities. I know like in the specific community I live in, I know certain models have little things that attract certain buyers and maybe turn off other buyers. So I know how to highlight those positives to market
Yeah.
that specific model that will attract that buyer that would like that. So that's really important. Look into the communities you're interested in and see who is a market leader in that community. That could be worth lots of money at the end of the day when you're selling your home.
100%. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it. Again, if you've got any questions, responses, anything, always put them in the comments, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. We'll always respond to you. And Lissette, I appreciate you joining me today.
Have a great one, guys.